So I'm going to show you how to turn the weakness question into one that is all about your strength and your growth potential. So many of the candidates that I hired for Amazon as a bar raiser used this strategy. Plus, I'm going to give you an incredible freebie that every single Amazon candidate really needs. Stick around. So we're going to talk about how you deal with the question about your weaknesses if it comes up in an Amazon interview. Now, before I forget, if you want the notes for this video or indeed the entire channel, there's a link to those and where you can find them down there in the description. So go check it out if you're interested in those. So how to handle the weakness question? Well, asking someone about their weaknesses isn't a standard Amazon interview question. It doesn't exist in the Amazon interview question bank, and it's not really part of the training that an Amazon interviewer goes through. However, it is really very, very common in interviews in general, and of course, lots of Amazonians come to Amazon from other companies. They found that type of questioning useful in prior roles, and they just carry it over into their Amazon interview. So although it's not a standard Amazon interview question, there is a good chance that you'll get asked it. Okay, so then if you are asked it, how are you going to deal with it? My first and biggest tip is that you try and use the leadership principles as a mechanism for your answer, because obviously your interview is going to be assessed based on the Amazon leadership principles. So if in your response to the question about weaknesses, you can land it in Amazon leadership principles, it becomes really, really easy to use that as evidence when it comes to making a decision as to whether to pass you on to the next round or ultimately, if it's the final round, to hire you. Now, you don't have to actually quote the specific Amazon leadership principle. Sometimes that can be a bit clunky, but you definitely want to be thinking about the key behaviors that are demonstrated by that leadership principle and using the language of those behaviors in your answer. So that's the first thing to think about. The second thing to think about if you are asked about weakness in your Amazon interview is the fact that many of the Amazon leadership principles are at tension with each other. And that's why quite often people read the Amazon leadership principles and they're a little bit confused because they're thinking, well, this one says this and that one says that, so they don't match, and how does that make sense? It's purposeful, it's true, because there are obviously always tension in business decisions. You've got to make trade-offs. That's, I guess, true of life as well. So when you are giving your answer to that mistake question in your Amazon interview, think about those leadership principles that are at tension with each other. So let's think about maybe insist on the highest standards is definitely at tension with bias for action. Another two that are at tension with each other are dive deep and deliver results. So when you're talking about your weakness, what you should also do is talk about your strength, because of course, if you're weak in one area, chances are that's because you're strong in another. So let's think about the scenario specifically. So I'm going to hold my hands up and say, I am really strong in insist on the highest standards. I am a complete perfectionist. But what that can mean is taking action, having that bias for action is a challenge for me, because I always want it to be more perfect. I never feel that it's quite ready to do. And therefore, I would be saying in my interview that because of my very strong bias towards high standards and really, really wanting everything to be perfect, the result is sometimes I find myself unable to take action because I still think I can make it more perfect and am not necessarily inclined to just get it live. So, having done that, not only am I talking about a weakness, but I am very specifically and clearly starting with where I am strong. That's great. So what I've done in answer to what could be a possibly negative question, I focused it on my strengths and then made it very clear how that strength sometimes leads to a weakness. But that's not the best bit. let me tell you about the best bit of answering this weakness question. What you then absolutely need to do is talk about what you are doing to address your weakness, showing that you are being very proactive and self-reflective and putting tools in place to manage this behavior. So if we go back to that scenario of me and what I do to try and manage my tension between insist on the higher standards and bias for action, is I would say to my interviewer, what I do is I draw a line in the sand between what I feel is going to be great outcome, great product, but where the line of perfection is starting to become disproportionately beneficial. So I will either put a date in my diary whereby which I feel I must get it done and have it and live actioned, whatever it is, or I write a list of the features or the tasks or whatever it might be, and I draw the line where I think I'm getting into microscopic features and tasks that will not proportionately deliver the benefit that the additional time will cost me. And then I religiously challenge myself to adhere to that time, that line in the sand. And then when I finish my project, I always look back at myself and double check that I have held the standard to myself and adhered to that process. Now what you need to do is click on this link here and go and grab yourself one of my free Amazon Interview Wiz Academy Customer Obsession Masterclasses. Watch that and you will nail every single customer obsession question asked of you at your Amazon interview. Or if you'd like to do that later, check out this video here for more great Amazon interview bar raiser tips on interview strategy.